One person with a gun can control 100 people without one. Now picture this. You're standing there in the bank to cash a check. Somebody walks in and holds up a gun and says, "Everybody lay on the floor." Everybody lays on the floor. Now picture this. Every red-blooded, honest, God-fearing American citizen is packing a gun. He's not looking for trouble. He just has a gun, just in case, you know. The guy walks into the bank, pulls out a gun. Everybody lay on the floor. Instantly, 80 guns are pointed at him. No, sir. You lay on the floor. Gun control is not about guns, it's about control. Every dictator has wanted gun control. Lenin wanted it, Stalin wanted it, Hitler wanted it.
Lawsuit against Oregon's Measure 114 takes an unfortunate hit in the federal court. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel, like my content, and what I do here, you can support me with the link in the description box. Everything's appreciated. Let's talk about this here. Now, if you remember, I did a video on Oregon's Measure 114, which is, let's just make it plain and simple. It's an assault weapons ban for the state of Oregon. And a lawsuit was immediately filed against it. But it has unfortunately hit a logjam as a federal court rules upholding the measure. I want to come into here, and federal court ruling upholding Oregon gun law will be appealed. A federal district judge ruling upholding the constitutionality of Oregon's restricted gun control measure 114 will definitely be appealed. The head of the Second Amendment Foundation assured via email with a terse one-word statement. SAF founder and executive vice president Alan Gottlieb, responding to an email inquiry asking certainly there will be an appeal, right, responded bluntly, right. U.S. District Judge Karen Immergut. And you know, I bet you 10 to 1 you dig into this judge's background. Flaming progressive, flaming liberal, flaming anti-gun. These judges, and it's unfortunate, judges do not make their rulings based on the Constitution for the most part. They make their rulings based on their feelings. And that's not their job. But that's the truth of the matter. In a 122-page decision wrote, plaintiffs have not shown that the Second Amendment protects large capacity magazines defined as magazines capable of firing 11 or more rounds without reloading. And even if the Second Amendment were to protect large capacity magazine, this court finds that defendants and intervener defendant have established that Oregon's restrictions on the use and possession of large capacity magazines are consistent with the nation's history and tradition of firearm regulation. I'm lost here. What case is she talking about where it establishes a history of firearm regulation? But let's keep going because I lost on that one. But like I said, they tend to rule with their feelings and not necessarily with the actual Constitution. But the ruling was immediately blasted by Oregon Firearms Federation, one of several plaintiffs challenging the law in a consolidation of 4 federal lawsuits, 2 of which involve SAF and several partners. In a scathing reaction, OFF declared Judge Immergut's ruling absurd, and it is absurd. It makes no sense. And further said her decision was against gun owners, the Second Amendment, and a basic understanding of the English language. Immergut's ruling does appear oblivious to facts involving firearms and self-defense, where on page 120 she states, the Supreme Court has held that Second Amendment protects an individual's rights to self-defense inside and outside of the home. LCMs are not commonly used for self-defense and are therefore not protected by the Second Amendment. Wow. Oh, geez. But This seems to ignore the prevalence of modern semi-automatic pistols, which are commonly used for personal protection and which come from the factory with magazines holding more than 10 cartridges. According to The Hill, Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum praised the ruling while acknowledging the law still cannot be enforced because it's still being challenged in state court. Yes, remember I did a video on that. A state judge jumped in and put the whole thing on hold until the lawsuit could be heard. A judge in Harney County has scheduled a trial in September. By that time, Judge Immergut's decision will likely have been appealed to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. Ooh. Rosenblum, a Democrat, was quoted by The Hill stating, "Our team looks forward to ultimately prevailing in state courts as well." The 4 federal lawsuits which are consolidated for this case involve virtually every gun rights organization in the country. In addition to SAF and OFF, plaintiffs include the Firearms Policy Coalition, National Shooting Sports Foundation, Oregon State Shooting Association, an affiliation of the National Rifle Association, several private citizens, and at least 3 Oregon sporting goods retailers. The state lawsuit involves Gun Owners of America, the Gun Owners Foundation, and various private citizens, as noted by the Central Oregon Daily. The lawsuit challenges the measure under the Oregon State Constitution. Measure 114 is described by the media as one of the strictest gun control laws in the country. Well, Massachusetts is trying to outdo that, but it requires proof of safety training to purchase a firearm, requires a permit to purchase from a law enforcement agency, and bans magazines holding more than 10 cartridges, which would include not only magazines for popular semi-automatic sporting rifles, but also many, if not a majority, of popular semi-automatic handguns, as noted above. Throughout her ruling, Judge Immergut, a Donald Trump appointee, sides consistently with the defendants and Measure 114. In its statement, OFF asserted, "We are sure there will be plenty of parsing for this absurd decision in the coming days, but it was clear from the first day that Immergut was both painfully ignorant and in the pocket of Oregon's far-left Department of Justice. No doubt it took this long for her to come up with a reason to reach this conclusion when none of the facts were on her side." Whew. In the aftermath of Measure 114's narrow passage in November 2022, 50.6 in favor, 49.4 opposed, neighboring Washington state passed legislation earlier this year. I did a video on that, extending a 10-day waiting period to the purchase of all firearms, not just so-called assault weapons, which is part of Initiative 1639 passed by voters in 2018. It is unclear whether SAF or any of the other plaintiffs in the 4 federal challenges will file appeals. Because the ruling was issued Friday, attorneys for those plaintiffs, and there are lots of them, are no doubt studying Judge Immergut's ruling. SAF is the only organization involved in 2 separate challenges of Measure 114. A week-long trial was held early last month in Portland. I don't know what Trump was thinking of pointing this person, because she's an idiot. I'm sorry. That her reasoning for this ruling makes no sense. It sounds like word salad. It makes no sense. She's referring to the nation's history and tradition of firearms regulation. But the history of regulation is in violation of the Constitution itself and the Second Amendment. Okay? Shall not be infringed. They can't be any clearer than that. So I want to find this, and maybe it is here. I really want to read a little bit further into her, because her reasoning makes no sense as it applies to the language of the Constitution, as they stated in Bruen. As it clearly, the language in Bruen is in opposition to her language here. It makes no sense. But we got to keep an eye on this. Once again, there are many, many, many assault weapon ban cases going through the courts right now, and each one has a direct effect on the whole country. So we need to pay attention to every single one, the one in the podunk middle of nowhere, and the ones in the large cities, and the ones across states. We've got to pay attention to them because it involves us all. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.